So if you have purchased my book, Cone of Silence, and read it, you're going to find that maybe like you or someone you know, I come from a highly dysfunctional and unusual family, in that my childhood was indeed very abusive. It was chaotic, it was loud, it was everything you don't want a child to experience in his or her life. And so I wrote a book about it. And I think I have mentioned one of my favorite anecdotes more than once, because it's so telling. But it just happened that I worked as a pastry chef because my husband and I, at one point, we had our own restaurant. And so I was the pastry chef. And I took pride in making French macarons. The macarons are extremely labor intense. It is the type of dessert that takes trying maybe 6 to 10 times before you get it right, and maybe 20 times before you get it to perfection. There's a foot, F-O-O-T, that you have to create on the shell. But these shells tend to be very temperamental, and they respond very poorly to any change in temperature, weather, you name it, and they tend to deflate. So you don't want macarons without a foot, or hollow, or deflated, right? So there's a lot of technicality that goes into creating these beautiful, beautiful and tasty macarons. So it just happened that I was having a conversation with one of my sisters, and I mentioned my macarons, and she said, they are all over the place. Macarons are all over the place. No, I believe she mispronounced it. I think she called them macaroons, which is made out of coconut, completely different. But at any rate, she said they're all over the place. In Europe, everybody sells them. They pretty much, she was saying basically they get left behind because nobody likes them. And she herself hates the flavor of French macarons. I hate them, she says. And they are all over the place in Europe because she has traveled, you know. So every time she can, she has to bring that up. As in, you know, it's not necessary, because you can use the example in the United States. In the United States, we have a lot of places that do sell the French macarons. So, but it's important for her to make the point, you see. So they're all over the place. They get left because they're just, people don't like them. And I personally hate them. And I thought, wow. And she was going on and on about it. So I mentioned again to her, I said, they're very difficult to make, you know, and I take pride in making them because, first of all, I like the flavor, but they're so difficult that, you know, it is a skill in and of itself that deserves some recognition and some respect for the discipline or the craft. And, you know, no apology, no. So I think I mentioned something to the effect of, look what you're saying to me. Look what you're saying right now. And, you know, the usual, oh, well, we're just having a conversation, right? I mean, we can talk about things. I mean, we're just having a normal conversation. You know, and before that, it was my having referred to a pair of boots as ugly. I can say that a pair of boots are ugly, a pair of shoes, if I don't like them. And I am not really offending a human being or a human trait, am I? I am just talking about an inanimate object, a pair of shoes, boots. I don't like them. I don't like the design. I don't care for them, right? But when she heard that, she attacked my legs. She said, you just say that because you have fill in the blanks. So to something that I attack that is not personal because it's just a pair of boots. She turns around and attacks me because maybe they just don't look good on me because I have fill in the blank, right? And like these two small anecdotes, I can tell you thousands of times, thousands of jabs, especially in parties and public places where she knew that I was not going to be able to react the way I wanted to because I would have rained on everybody's parade, right? Remember, when somebody jabs you, if you react, it is your response that people are going to judge, not what caused it. They didn't hear the jab, they only saw your reaction. So you're the one who's going to rain on everybody's parade at the party. So of course, you sort of hold back and you keep the peace, and for many years you try to say, maybe I didn't hear right, or maybe I'm making too much of a big deal. She didn't mean any harm. And you continuously justify, you make up excuses because you have different standards for your family and your close ones, don't you? You have a standard for strangers and you do not allow disrespect or trespassing of boundaries, but you allow your family members and your closest acquaintances to do so because they use the family-friend card and you're letting them. Once you look at everything objectively, not subjectively, but objectively, and you look at each individual for the way he or she is, you're going to find out, you're going to notice that all along the person was telling you exactly who she is. It's just that you were not ready to accept it because they're family, they're friends, you've known them all your life, they're acquaintances, they were our neighbors 105 years ago. I'm being exaggerated, but I'm trying to make a point here. We make excuses and justifications for those people closest to us because we can't believe our ears. This cannot be happening. She probably didn't mean something bad. Yes, she did. I got news for you. When someone has ill will towards you, the person is not going to carry a label. Family members excluded. Friends excluded. Acquaintances excluded. No, they don't carry a label. Anybody can do that to you. And just because you were raised together or you share bloodlines, consanguinity, it doesn't mean anything at all when it comes to ill will and hatred. And you have to take each individual for the way he or she is treating you. You have to use an objective standard from beginning to end. And that means that you do not accept shabby treatment and disrespect from anyone, not just strangers, but not from family, relatives, friends, acquaintances. Just because they were a part of your life does not mean that they are good for your mental health and your well-being. I hope you have a great rest of the week. And remember, pick up my book, Cone of Silence.